This week we read two Parshios. We read the Parsha of Acharei-Mos and the Parsha of Kedoshim. In the beginning of Acharei-Mos talks about the service that the Kohen Gadol used to do on Yom Kippur. Our rabbis tell us that everything that is in the Parsha has an effect on our week, which means that this week, on some level, we have the holiness of Yom Kippur without having to fast. But the introduction to this service of the Kohen Gadol is very interesting. The Torah says that Acharei-Mos shnei bnei Aaron. Hashem told Moshe after the children of Aaron died, and then he told them all about the service on Yom Kippur. Why is that the introduction to the service on Yom Kippur? Why does Aaron need to be reminded about the sin and death of his sons right before he learns about his service on Yom Kippur? The reason why Nadav and Avihu died was not because they did an inherently bad thing. They did an inherently holy thing. They brought ketores, they brought a sacrifice to Hashem. But the reason why they were punished is because it wasn't the right time and it wasn't the right place. They should have stayed back. They should have not gone into the Beis HaMikdash. But even though their desire came from a good place, it was a desire for Kedusha, it was a desire to connect to Hashem, but it was not the appropriate time, it was not the appropriate place, and therefore they were punished. And therefore Hashem tells Aaron, you're about to do the service on Yom Kippur. You're about to go into the Holy of Holies. Only the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur, one day a year, was allowed to go into the Holy of Holies. And therefore Hashem is telling him, but remember, although you're in a high place, you're very spiritual. This is the holiest place in the world, and this is the holiest day of the year, and you're doing the holiest service. But still realize that everything you do is only because Hashem told you to. Everything you do is only because Hashem commanded you to. And when you do what Hashem tells you to, and when you follow Hashem's command, then everything will be okay. It's only when we take matters into our own hands that we get ourselves into trouble. And even when it comes from a good place, even when we're trying to do something spiritual and trying to do something holy, if we take matters into our own hands, instead of looking and deciding what does Hashem want from us, then we're going to get in trouble. Rav Biderman says, quotes the Sfas Emes on the pasuk in the second parsha that we read. The pasuk says that ish imo v'aviv tiro, that a person should fear his father and mother. And the Gemara tells us, what does it mean to fear your father and mother? One of the things it means is don't sit in their place. Rav Biderman quotes this Sfas Emes who says that Hashem is our ultimate father. And Hashem is telling us as well that don't sit in my place. It's my job to run the world. It's my job to decide who needs to do what, when, and what situation is appropriate right now. What decisions need to be made now. Everything about how the world needs to be run is up to me. We may think we know better. We may think we could do a better job than Hashem. But Hashem says, don't sit in my place. It's my job to run the world, not yours. Don't take my job. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Baditchev was once walking with his students, and he turned to them and he said, you know what I would do if I was Hashem? You know what I would do if I was God? And all the students turned to him, they're listening intently. What's he going to say? How would he run the world differently than Hashem? He says, you know how I would run the world? Exactly the way it's being run now. And he said to them, because if we think differently, it's only because we don't understand the appropriate way that the world should be run. But if I was Hashem, if I was God, I would understand why the way Hashem is running the world is absolutely perfect. And that's something we need to keep in mind every single day of our lives. There's many things in our life we can't control, but we shouldn't try to control them. The things that we can control are things that are controlled by Hashem, and Hashem put us in a certain situation, in certain circumstances, for certain reasons. We can't try to do Hashem's job. Hashem put us in a certain situation, Hashem put us in a certain challenge, it's for a certain reason. So instead of trying to question it, instead of trying to deny it, we have to embrace it and do the only thing that we can do, and that's make the best out of every situation, and in every situation look to do what Hashem wants from us. Have a great, great Shabbos.